Christ, it's that you make a decision for God in some way. In every biblical calling, there are tests and entrustments for you to be faithful. God promises that to you. He will give you his best promise, but you have to start by being faithful in little when you don't see what you think is his best. People say, I'll serve God when? No, be faithful in God now. I'll do this when I do this. No, the Great Commission started where they were, started in Jerusalem, then went to the world. It starts with you. Be faithful with your loved ones, how about? Be faithful with your family, your wife, your husband. Be faithful in that. That's your first ministry. And to pass the test, then God will do what he has. You know, that sin in your life that you're not turning from. Is there a sin like that you're not faithful in, that's hindering you? Start turning that around now. When you're talking about all the things you want to do, how about dealing with that now? God's saying, hey, will you be faithful to this? I can do this, but you have to be faithful to this now. If you're not being faithful, what do you want to do? Sin in a greater way? When you get to a higher level, really mess things up? Are you faithful in the Word now? Start being faithful in the Word. Are you faithful in prayer? How do you expect to go higher levels? The enemy's going to see that. If you don't have a good prayer life and God has lifted you up, the enemy's going to see that. He'll go full blast. Are you faithful in serving God? If not, how do you expect to fulfill your ministry if you're not even serving where you are? Are you faithful in giving? That's actually, the Messiah actually speaks in those terms here. Give and it shall be given to you. Press down. Give and it shall be given. Are you faithful in sharing the gospel? You know it's God's will, so are you faithful or not? You want to do great things for God? How about doing the first thing? You know, we got this camera, well, it was, this Skype kind of thing on the internet where Renata, my wife, can see her relatives in Brazil. And we put it on, and it's a great thing. She can talk to her relatives. It's like, when we were growing up, they were saying they were all going to have TV phones, and moving sidewalks. That's what we were told. That's the future. We're still waiting on the moving sidewalks. We don't have it except in airports. But we kind of getting to that phone thing. And so she's talking to her family, and I come over to talk with them, and only one problem is I wasn't fully dressed. I didn't realize it. I had it, I had it in my underpants, and I walk in the room, and the man from Brazil looks up on the screen and starts saying something in Portuguese. And I said, Ronald, what's he saying? He's saying, I can see Jonathan is not wearing his clothes, his pants. The guy's across the world, but he sees what's going on in my house. The phone was one thing. When you just had a phone, you could do what you want. They don't see what you're doing. You could roll your eyes. You could say, that. You could put the phone down. Have you ever done that? You could put it in a drawer. I once put it in a drawer. Not when any of you were talking to me, but someone else. Tell them I'm not home. You could do that. But now with this thing, it's terrible. It's not safe. You have to be presentable. Nothing's safe. A guy's across the world, and he's seeing what's happening in my home. And when I realized this, I ducked down, and I'm squirming, and and he's talking to his wife, he's talking to his wife, and they're laughing, and this, and so the whole thing, I can see, they can still see. I grabbed like a shopping bag, and they still can see it. It's like someone who's arrested on television, and they don't want to see it. Well, the question is, but if people could put a camera into your house, reality show. I was talking to a guy once, not too long ago, a guy who kind of directs with cable, and he says, he wasn't a believer. He said, oh, Robert Jonathan, he says, we want to do a reality show based on your life. I said, what? You don't want that. I'll be sitting in my office. The camera will just be on me, and that'll be it. Everything you do, what if everything you do could be seen? Would it be glorifying to God? That's the test. If God had put something, if there was a camera in your house and it was broadcast, what would you do? What would you not do? Well, you could see the test you're passing or not passing right now. If it wouldn't go, you'd say, well, okay, thank God that's not going to happen. But the angels are already looking. The angels see what's in your house, and God sees what's in your house. He sees what's happening with you and your family. He knows what's happening when you get alone and nobody sees you. If they could see what you do, or if they could see your finances and what you spend things on or what you don't spend things on, what would that be? I remember when I came to the Lord, and I remember that I met a friend and who we came together, and we came in touch with a pastor who was having a Bible study in his house, and so we went there. We went to the Bible study and we went to church, and about after 2 months, the pastor said it was too much he couldn't do it anymore. So the Bible study was to end, and the people there asked me to lead it. That is how I stepped into ministry. I didn't know how to lead it. I didn't know how to do a Bible study, but I asked the Lord. And it was a few people, and then it started growing, and it was one of the foundations of what Beth Israel became. The Bible study there. But it was little. But the Lord said, be faithful in little. I remember when I was looking for a job after college in ministry, God had called me, and it was a deep recession, and there were no jobs, and the Lord had called me to ministry. And I finally said, okay, Lord, give me something you would do. I don't need the ministry. Give me something you would do. That will be the thing. And he gave me something, which was working with disabled children, which was a real humbling thing, and it was my preparation. It was he said, be faithful in little, be a servant, be the servant to the least of these, my brothers. Be a servant, and all those things. And I remember that, and I was there, and I shared the gospel, and people got saved there. We had Bible study there, and we were ministering to the homeless in the city. And then, one day I was asked to take on, I was already helping Beth Israel from the beginning, but I wasn't seeking anything. I was there to be faithful. I was helping in worship, helping in other things. And it was a handful of people, but one day, Gary called me up and said, you got to take it over if we're going to keep this thing going. And the thing was, God was saying, be faithful in little and I will lift you up. Don't seek for the high place, say the high chair. Seek for the low place. Be the humble one. God will lift you up. I was there to help. That was